Hi, everyone. It's Tuesday. We're here live. I'm Kate Lincoln-Goldfinch, your friendly immigration lawyer, here to talk to you about all of the headlines on immigration. And there is never a lack. We have yet to arrive at one of these live videos and have me say, well, not a whole lot happened last week. That has not occurred. So as per the usual, there is much to discuss. I will help you understand, interpret the headlines, make sense of everything, understand what's important, what we need to be paying attention to, celebrate the wins that have occurred. We have a couple wins to celebrate this week. And I'm here to answer your live questions about immigration policy, about your immigration cases. As a reminder, my firm is still doing free legal consultations. My number one piece of advice to the immigrant community is to obtain good information from an immigration lawyer that you trust and to form a relationship with an immigration lawyer before anything happens. And for that reason, we don't want cost to be a barrier. So we are offering free consultations. We have slots for around 40 appointments every day. So we've got enough slots to help you. And we have in-person appointments at the Austin office, and we have virtual appointments, and we have appointments on Saturday. So there's really no reason not to seek a legal consultation if you need one. In a consultation, we're talking through whether you can get legal status, and we have options for you if you can't. We have a peace of mind package that helps you prepare and protect yourself and get representation from us, even if you're not getting legal status. So it helps you understand if you qualify for something, how much it would cost, how long it would take, how to protect yourself in the meantime. And more importantly than anything, it forms a relationship between us so that we can respond quickly if something happens. So I encourage you to share this video to anybody that you know who needs immigration advice and tell them, just DM me, reach out to my firm, Lincoln-Goldfinch Law, to set up an appointment. We are here for you guys. We're also doing a lot of community outreach right now through our project El Bus Sin Fronteras. This is our converted school bus that goes out into communities. Yesterday, we were at the student walkouts handing out red cards, but we do free legal resources for the community. And we've been handing out business preparedness packets. So if you have a nonprofit, an organization, a business, a church, a restaurant, etc., and you want to know how can I protect my employees against ICE stuff, reach out to me because we have a business preparedness packet specifically for you. I'm also working on a webinar this week about that. And we also have family preparedness packets, which help you understand how to spot fraud, what are important documents to gather, what your rights are, how to protect your children. And I'm expanding that packet, working on expanding that packet to think also about how to protect our assets, our property, our car. What happens if you get detained and your car is left in the street? What happens with your house? You know, all of these things that arise for people, we're including in our family preparedness packet. So stick with me. I'll stick with you, and we'll get through all of this together. Okay, with that being said, let's talk about the news of the week. I'll start with some good news. Little Liam Conejo, little cute little blue hat, bunny hat Liam, made it home on Sunday night. And I have been simultaneously very heartened to see the reaction of Liam. And also, I'm going to be honest with you guys, I worry a little bit that we're going to take our foot off the gas pedal because he got home. So Liam is one of those, I think it's appropriate to say this is like a zeitgeist moment, right? Where we see this little photo of this cute little boy being arrested, and it just enrages the American public. Like, how on earth could we think that this is okay? And so everybody is responding. Of course, this is around the exact same time that Alex Preddy is murdered. And so there's this huge, massive response. Republicans start speaking out. The NRA starts speaking out. Little Liam gets released. Tom Homan replaces Greg Bovino in Minnesota. So we start to see incremental change for the better. But what happens in these moments is we start looking the other way. And so I would really like to urge everybody to keep paying attention. There are still families being brutalized and terrorized. And in that detention center where Liam was released, Dilley Detention Center, literally hours after he made it back home, they announced a measles outbreak in Dilley. And I've been in that facility. I've actually toured that facility, like back in the parts that most attorneys don't get to go to. It's a prison camp. It's a prison tent camp. And what happens when they go on quarantine lockdown is all these kids get locked into their cells. They don't have any free movement around the facility. So they don't get to go to the lunchroom. They don't get to go outside. And these parents are stuck in these cells with, I mean, babies, toddlers, little ones. Can you even imagine as a parent, if you're watching this and you're a parent and has a little one, can you imagine being stuck in a jail cell without toys and your small child for 3 weeks? Like, how they will go from losing their minds, I don't know. It's dire, it's bad, and also we don't even need to have these people locked up at all, exposing them to disease. One person on my comments posted a report about Anne Frank and how when she died in the concentration camp, it wasn't because she was gassed. It was because she contracted a disease. And so that was a method that the Nazis used to kill people in the concentration camps, was by rampant disease. So there are parallels, of course. We see them all at this point, but we need to keep pushing. There are still thousands of children actively detained right now, but also there are tens of thousands of parents of small children who have been taken from them off the streets, and these kids are actively suffering. So we cannot let up, even though we're happy that little Liam is home. He's one. There are thousands more. Next, we keep hearing reports about how these federal habeas petitions are really wreaking havoc in the federal court system. Of course, the federal court system is a real court system, right? They take the swiftness of justice and efficiency very seriously. This is a professional environment. It's federal court. I often call immigration court kangaroo court, like the way people dress for that court, the way the clerks behave. It's very loosey-goosey, does not act or feel like a federal court system. Well, we're not able to get justice in immigration court lately for obvious reasons. So we have to go into federal court to seek people's release through habeas petitions. And in Minnesota alone, last year, there were 125 habeas petitions in the state in the whole year. But since January 1st, there are more than 400. So 125 in all of 2025. And in the first month of 2026, 400% increase in habeas petitions. So this is wreaking havoc in the federal court system. And that's part of the reason we're starting to see these really satisfyingly written opinions from these federal judges that are so fed up with the way that the administration and the Department of Homeland Security is acting and treating people. They are not having it. They're not having it. And so we'll start to see, I think, even more of that from the federal judges. All right, let's talk about the government shutdown. This is a very complex and confusing government shutdown. This isn't, it's procedurally complicated. So what happened was, before the Alex Petty murder, the House passed an extended funding bill. And we were mad at them because 7 Democrats, including 2 Democrats in Texas, voted it through the House. Then Alex Petty gets murdered. Then it's going to a vote in the Senate, and we all have an uproar, and we call all of our senators. And luckily, the Senate heard us, and they separated out the various funding. So DHS funding was separated out from the rest of the funding package, and it extended for just 2 weeks. And what we're asking, what the Democrats are asking for, it's pretty basic stuff. They want DHS to only use judicial warrants to break into people's homes. And as an aside, I'm going to talk about the warrants in a second. Judicial warrants, they want the officers to be unmasked. And I think that we cannot underestimate the power of that policy, because these agents, when they get to completely cover their faces and they're given guns and put out on the streets with tear gas, they act like maniacs. Because and they're told they have full immunity by Stephen Miller, and they can do whatever the F they want out here on the streets, and nobody's going to even know who they are. Of course, they all come out. Jonathan Ross, Jesus Ochoa, Raimundo Gutierrez. These are the murderers of Renee Good and Alex Preddy. We find out who you are, officers. You need to know that. But imagine if these officers were out on the streets without masks on their face. I think immediately we would see a shift in their behavior. Immediately. That masks off mandate would be extremely powerful. The Democrats are also asking for the stop of these roving patrols out on the streets, where agents are just going out on the streets and rounding people up. Basic stuff, not a whole lot, accountability, judicial warrants, hello, due process, Fourth Amendment of the Constitution. Don't mask yourself and don't do roving patrols. That's all they're asking for. But it's gone back to the House now. And there's some, the procedure about how it's going forward. So Hakeem Jeffries is okay. Let's see if I have the language for this. I forget the word, but he's calling for the way that it goes to a vote is more procedurally normal. Mike Johnson wanted to just push it forward, and Hakeem Jeffries said no, we have to put it essentially to the floor for a vote. And so that's what's happening in the House. And so there is a partial government shutdown while all of this gets worked out. I think it's very worth it based on what they're asking for, because our cities are being terrorized. And on that note, speaking of cities being terrorized, the Trump administration had their sights on Springfield, Ohio next. So they said, we're leaving, or not leaving, but partially leaving Minneapolis. We're going to Springfield, Ohio, where there is a large Haitian population. And to remind you guys, Haiti had a huge, horrible earthquake in 2010. Really, really bad, decimated the country. The country has not recovered. There's still a lot of unrest, lack of resources, gang violence. And so the way that TPS works is that when there's an infrastructure collapse in a country, the people who are already in the United States get to stay here in a protected status. It's not an invitation for more people to come. So Haitians who were in the United States before 2010 were granted TPS status, and they've been living here and working in legal status, not breaking the laws, no problems, except for, according to the president, they eat pets. No problems with Haitian TPS. Well, Trump, of course, doesn't like TPS. He doesn't like Haitians. He doesn't like immigrants. So he decides he's going to cancel TPS, gets Kristi Noem to do it. She just announces it, does not go through any procedure about it. And in fact, calls them, I have the language, leeches, takers, leeches, killers, leeches, and entitlement junkies. She says this on Twitter about Haitians. The Secretary of Homeland Security, as she's canceling TPS. So the plan was revoke TPS as of today, February 3rd, 2006, go to Springfield, Ohio, and immediately terrorize the Haitian community that has been in legal status for the last 15 years. Kids, families, jobs, houses, and go and barge into these people's homes, into their places of work, into their places of worship, into their schools, and rip them out of their communities and detain them and deport them. That was the plan in Springfield, Ohio. And another federal judge was like, no, you don't. So there's a few things I want to tell you about this. It's so good. So this judge has blocked the cancellation of TPS. It is temporary. This will go to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court probably will allow it. So to my Haitian friends in TPS status, please do not take this reprieve as an indication that you don't have to do something. You must consult with a lawyer and protect yourselves, because TPS cancellation is coming and ICE terrorization is still coming for the Haitian community. It's just been put on a hold for a minute. But I just want to read you a couple of things from this judge. So she says, this is from an article in The Guardian. She notes that the plaintiffs who asked her to block the order, 5 TPS holders, are not, it emerges, killers, leeches, or entitlement junkies. Listen to this. They are instead Fritz Emmanuel Leslie Miot, a neuroscientist researching Alzheimer's disease. Rudolph Civil, a software engineer at a national bank. Marlene Gale Noble, a laboratory assistant in a toxicology department. Marika Merlene Laguerre, a college economics major. And Vilbrun Dorsenville, a full-time registered nurse. So I love that. I love that she said that. And then I also want to read you guys, because sometimes these judicial opinions are so satisfying. This is the conclusion of the judge's order disallowing the cancellation of TPS. There is an old adage among lawyers: if you have the facts on the side, pound the facts. If you have the law on your side, pound the law. If you have neither, pound the table. Secretary Noem, the record to date shows, does not have the facts on her side, or at least has ignored them. Does not have the law on her side, or at least has ignored it. Having neither and bringing the adage into the 21st century, she pounds X, aka Twitter. Kristi Noem has a First Amendment right to call immigrants killers, leeches, entitlement junkies, and any other inapt name she wants. Secretary Noem, however, is constrained by both our Constitution and the Administrative Procedures Act to apply faithfully the facts to the law in implementing the TPS program. The record to date shows she has yet to do that. By accompanying order, the court grants plaintiffs renewed motion for a stay. Boom! So fast, so good, so satisfying. So short reprieve in Springfield, Ohio, and Haitian TPS holders around the country, but please do take action and protect yourselves. Okay, couple more items. We've got ICE buying up mega warehouses around the country. There's a facility in North Texas, rural, that's set to potentially house 9,000 immigrants. These are massive detention centers. The cost for acquiring 2 warehouses alone was $172 million. Keep remembering, the vast majority of people who are being housed in these private for-profit prison companies have no criminal history whatsoever. So we need to be pushing back on that and supporting our members of Congress and senators who are holding the line on the funding for DHS during the shutdown. And I'm going to end with 2 items of good news, but first I'm going to tell my Austinites that we do definitely have increased ICE presence around Austin. There's so many different locations and they're roving. So I don't want to list specific locations and say that's where they go every day. It's not that. They are out on the streets. They are in South Austin. They are in East Austin. They are in North Austin. They are in heavily immigrant neighborhoods. So just be very aware and safe. Try not to be out driving around if you are undocumented. It is not a safe time in Austin to be doing that. And let's do some good news. We had a ton of students walking out yesterday. ISD students a few days ago. Yesterday, Pflugerville High School, Manor High School. I went to the Manor ISD walkout with El Sin Fronteras. We were handing out the red cards, and these kids were so fired up. Their signs were so good. They were chanting. And one of the best things about it, the kids walked from the high school to the 290 frontage road, which is obviously a very busy highway in Manor. And so many cars driving by were honking in solidarity, including a lot of the 18-wheelers and the cement trucks. I loved that part. I loved seeing the workers out on the roads supporting these kids, and they'd be honking their big old 18-wheeler horns, and the kids were just going crazy. And at one point I was with someone from my team, and she started crying because it was just it just felt so good to see these young people exercising the voices and the people driving by supporting them. And the cops were there blocking, the turn. They were just watching, making sure everything was safe and these kids were protected. People from the school, the superintendent, the chief of police in Manor, they were all there protecting these kids. Makes me cry just thinking about it. The school was supporting them. The grownups were supporting them. The drivers driving down the road were supporting them. The people on the road were supporting them. It was so good. And so it made me feel hope for our future to see these young people standing up like that. And then other good news items. Did anybody watch Bad Bunny at the Grammys? How good was that? How good was his acceptance speech? And how excited are we about the Super Bowl halftime show? It's going to be so good. I cannot wait for the halftime show. Okay. We've got lots of comments and questions. Thank you guys for sticking with me on my my soapbox. Okay. Oh, Chispa de Bomba. We are ready for our free consult. Awesome. After speaking with the congressman's meeting last week, what's the best way to contact? Also want to learn about peace of mind package. Cool. DM me and we'll get you set up. Pierre was at a neighborhood association in North Austin where you shared your immigration guide. Do you have these folders in different languages? Language access has been one of my issues in Austin. Thank you for sharing this. My materials are right now just in English and Spanish. I'd be happy to expand them. Might need some help from a volunteer to translate into other languages, but we'd be happy to prepare them and at least put them for download on our website and maybe even print a few if anybody wants to volunteer to help us put these materials in other languages. But we are, we're handing out thousands and thousands of these materials and we'll drive them to you too. If you are, part of a school or you're part of a community and you're like, I need 50 of these packets, we will come find you and deliver them to you. So just let me know if you need some. Okay, I don't know how to say your Instagram handle, but what should individuals with DACA status need to do to protect themselves? How can I support a friend with DACA? So DACA right now, we're still waiting. We have no final decision from Judge Hainan on DACA, and so Dreamers in Texas still have full work permit, full ability to renew. DACA recipients can still do advanced parole and travel and come back in if you need to do that. Definitely be renewing and keeping your DACA up to date. You can submit DACA initial applications. They are not processing them right now, and we're awaiting the order. So friends with DACA, definitely consult with an immigration lawyer and have a consultation and a backup plan, what to do if DACA goes away. We can talk through how to protect you. We could do the peace of mind package. There's lots of options. We'll explore, have you suffered workplace abuse? Have you been the victim of a crime? Are you married to a U.S. citizen, or do you have other relatives who have legal status? Do you potentially have employment options? There's a lot of options for DACA recipients. And one of the things that I think is important is that you don't just decide that you don't have options. I talk to so many people who, based on piecing conversations together that they've had with friends and neighbors and other dreamers, they have it in their head that like, oh, there's nothing for me. But what I want to share is every life is different. Your life is like your fingerprint. It is only yours. Your immigration history, your work history, everything like that. And even if you had a twin, you would have different immigration eligibility because you would have had different lives. So it's really important to consult with a lawyer about your particular case if you have DACA status, to see if there's anything else we can do. People first, you are translating your packets in Arabic, Vietnamese, and Mandarin. Amazing. Feel free to drop those in the comments or send them to me and we'll be happy to share them. And again, if we have any volunteers who want to help us translate, let me know. Anna, I have seen some posts on social media telling the community that DPS now shares info about legal status of drivers. Is this true? Also register to vote. Actually, yesterday was the last day to register in order to vote in the primary. And I will take this moment to remind everybody, I am a candidate right now. I'm running for Texas House of Representatives in HD 50, Northeast Austin, 250,000 people, majority minority district, 43% Latino. I am running so that I can help keep families together and stop the state from terrorizing immigrant families. So if that sounds like something you want to support, please sign up to volunteer, donate to the campaign. Campaigns are very expensive. as it turns out. So I'd love to have any support. So, but to your question about DPS, here's what I want to say about information sharing. Yes, DPS absolutely shares information with ICE. DPS has a full cooperative agreement with ICE. It's called a 287G agreement. And essentially, Highway Patrol is ICE. Now, that's how intertwined these two agencies have become under Greg Abbott's leadership. So DPS, just replace it with ICE, essentially, in Texas. And that means when you see DPS on the road, be very careful. And I think that they have, I don't know this for sure, but I think that they have automatic license plate readers installed on their vehicles. I shared with you guys last year that I got pulled over on 130 on the toll road by a highway patrol because he got flagged as I drove by him that I had a toll balance. I had gotten a new car and I had forgotten to put my new car on my toll account. And I had racked up, don't judge me, more than $1,000 in toll charges with fines and everything. Did not know, was unaware, and got pulled over by a DPS trooper who got flagged in his vehicle just as I was driving by because they have these automatic license plate readers. So there's toll violations, there's lights out. They're getting a lot of people for busted taillights, busted headlights, expired this or that, overly tinted windows, that kind of stuff. So make sure if you're going to be driving, everything on your car is totally tip top and there's no reason to pull you over. And they may come up with a reason to pull you over even if there isn't one, But yeah, DPS is unfortunately essentially ICE for our purposes these days. APD, not so much. Travis County Sheriff, not so much yet, although sheriffs are mandated to cooperate with ICE in some form or fashion. Later this week, I think on the 5th, there's a public forum with APD and the community about what their plans are. My hope, my request of APD and the sheriff is that they have a very clear policy rejecting administrative warrant detention because that's unconstitutional. So they need to say we don't hold on administrative warrants. And even though they can't discourage officers from contacting ICE, they need to create steps in which if an officer wants to contact ICE, they need to go through a supervisor. They need to fill out a bunch of paperwork. It needs to be heavily overseen, and there needs to be a lot of accountability. That's what I want to see from APD, and I hope that they protect Austin residents and are really transparent with us about what they're doing too, because I think that that's a potential misstep. And this is one of my promises if I get elected, is to pull back the curtain and talk about everything, all the considerations that go into these decisions within our city, county, state leadership. Each time they're taking a decision, am I going to support this bill? Am I not? Am I going to, publish this policy? Am I not? I think what's really important and needed for us, the public, is to understand and have visibility into what's going on. Because we are out of an era, we ought to be out of an era of opacity. We need transparency with our leaders. And so that's what I'm hoping to see out of APD city leadership. And that's what I would do as a legislator for sure. And that might mean my reels start to be a little boring. But you guys have to promise me you'll watch and support so I can keep it up. Oh, People First, there are packets that you translated. Amazing, amazing. Thank you so much. Yes, we'll put them on our website too. That would be so great. DPS in Arizona is heavily working with ICE. We were able to take down the 287G in Pinal County. Very good, very good. Is it Pinal or Pinal? Pinal with an N. I don't know the counties in Arizona. Forgive me. That's awesome. I want to know how you took it down. My guess is that it was state leadership in Arizona is not nearly as red as it is here in Texas. So you have some protection, I think, at the state level in other states in Arizona that we don't have here. Okay. Question on a case. About a year ago, I received a ticket for driving without a license and paid it, but I recently noticed that it still appears on my record. I would like to know if it is possible to remove it and how that process works. So what you're asking about is called expunction. When you get something expunged, you get it erased from your record. Criminal defense lawyers can help with expunctions. What I would say is that for immigration purposes, it's often not better. In fact, it can hurt you to expunge your record, because when you do something for immigration, you apply for a green card, a removal of conditions, or citizenship, they will have a hit because they have all the law enforcement databases that you had an incident. But if it's been properly expunged, all the detail around the police report, the disposition of the case, all of that stuff is deleted. It's erased. And so immigration can't see what happened. So for something minor like driving without a license, I would leave that on the record if you've got immigration process in the future so that they can see it was not anything that mattered. I understand if you want something deleted from your record for job purposes, but similarly, I don't think any jobs would decide not to hire somebody who had driving without a license. Maybe I'm wrong about that, but to me, that doesn't strike me as something that is worth removing from your record if you have immigration stuff coming up. My wife was born in Taiwan and is now a U.S. citizen. What can she do to protect herself? And what can we do to protect our 5 and 8-year-old children who are U.S. citizens born and raised in Austin? I'm not comfortable with having our 5-year-old carry her U.S. passport, and I'm pretty sure she doesn't understand what being a U.S. citizen means. I can't tell you how common this question is. And isn't that crazy? Isn't that crazy? This is an entire family of U.S. citizens trying to figure out what they're going to carry on them so that they don't get detained. It's insane. What I would say is your wife, probably, given the tone of the question, probably you are in the camp of people who would prefer to just have documentation on you and not, resist or face detention. Like, I don't carry around proof of my U.S. citizenship because if they stop me, I'm going to say, I don't consent to a search. I wish to remain silent. I'm not going to tell you my immigration status. Fuck off, basically. But that's because I'm willing to face detention in that moment. I just realized I have a thing. But if you're not in that category, you got little kids, she's a naturalized citizen, you don't want to do that, then I would say have her carry around her passport and then have the kids, the kids don't need to carry around proof of their citizenship on them like out in the streets, but you might want to put in their backpacks when they go off to school without you, a copy of their passport in a folder. Cannot believe I'm saying that out loud. I have a son who is 20 years old and will turn 21 in March of this year. I'm not sure if he would be able to petition for me. Let's consult, because at 21, U.S. citizen kids can petition for their parents, but the manner of entry of the parent will control what we can do. So meaning, if you came in with a visa, we can do just a quick adjustment of status and it's not that difficult. If you came in without a visa, we have to do consular process and you're not eligible for a waiver, but there are some exceptions and it gets a little complex. So we should do a consultation. Now that your son is 20, let's go ahead and do it. Okay, last question, and then we're going to do our action item of the week. Are Canadians with permanent resident status leaving the U.S. to visit family then experience trouble with reentry even when up to date on paperwork? No. I've heard of no permanent residents, especially Canadian, having difficulty upon reentry. The things you need to be concerned about if you're a permanent resident when you come back is if you've got criminal history in your past or you've been out of the country for longer than 6 months. If you have criminal history, you should consult with a lawyer to make sure you're not inadmissible, that you can come back in, because it depends on the type of crime, the final disposition, how long after you got your green card it occurred, et cetera. It can be a little complicated. So consult with a lawyer if you have any arrest history. and then just stay out of the country for less than 6 months at a time, and you should be fine. Okay, what I'd like for your action item this week is to invite all of you guys to come see me this Saturday, February 7th at 11 o'clock. We are doing an event called Two Immigrants with Love, and we're having an open mic. We want artists, writers, musicians to share your voice and your art, poetry, music, spoken word, instruments. Please just join us. We're going to be writing postcards to immigrants. It's going to be a love fest, very uplifting, positive. It's at my firm in Central Austin this Saturday, 11 to 1. I would love to see you there. Please share the event, bring a friend. Everybody's welcome. And thanks for being with me. I'll see you guys on Thursday in Spanish. Bring your questions, bring your friends, share this video. Stay safe out there. Love you guys. Bye.